What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Sports Talk with Hawk. Welcome in. Thank you so much for stopping by. I am Hawk. Week number 5 in the NFL season has officially begun. As you are listening to this, the Falcons and the Buccaneers are battling it out on Thursday Night Football. Hopefully, it's a good game. You listen at the end of the last podcast, which you got this morning, Thursday morning instead of Wednesday night, is when it came out. Had a couple issues with YouTube uploading, but got it out this morning. My prediction was 27-23 Atlanta, so can't wait to see how close to that we end up. But nonetheless, we have got a wild week ahead of us again. And I say that because I have full faith in the NFL season. So there's a couple of games. We did 3 W's and 3 L's yesterday, and today we're going to do the top 10. But I just kind of want to look. We're going to have another episode. I may not do the preview episode this week. I think what we're going to do is a first quarter in review episode. So what have we learned through the first 4 weeks? I want to give you kind of a little bit of an appetizer for that here before we get into the top 10. The way the season has gone, Vegas isn't sweeping the board. So in the pick'em that I play, as far as outside of the podcast, the pick'em that I play is against the spread. Vegas isn't sure of this season. And how do I know that? Really simple. They aren't putting 3 and 3.5 point games up. There are a ton of 1.5 and 2 point games. Multiple games that are like that. Last week alone, I believe on Saturday, there were 5 last week that Vegas determined to be a 1.5 to 2 point spread. Means they have no flipping clue what's going to happen this year. And you know a team's going to win more than likely by more than 1 or 2 points. 3 points, that field goal game, kind of how the Colts and Steelers ended up. That's your threshold. You got to win by a field goal. That's the expectation. Last week in the pick'em, actually the last 2 weeks, I've been above 500. Last week and the week before, I went 9-7. It's hard to pick against odds and not just winners when a wild season. Now, last week, I told you guys I am out of it'll re-up when everybody's out, but the survivor pool was down to 4 last week. One of them picked the Jets. It's now down to 3. And those 3 could easily somehow last the rest of the season and we won't restart. That's perfectly possible. But the way that everything is playing out right now, every team can have a bad week. But for me, looking at it, who are the teams that have had their bad game already? The game that the coaches will be able to go back and say, remember what happened when we played like this? I think looking forward and looking ahead, that's really what you're going to have to glean off of is the specific illustrations like that. That is what you'll need. So I'm excited for this second quarter of football up until the trade deadline, especially now. These injuries are coming up. The Davante Adams trade stuff that's going on. It's going to get interesting. Who's available? Who's not? Who's going to move? Who's not? It'll get interesting. So I'm excited to see where this goes. All right. Week 5 Hawks top 10 teams in the NFL. Last week we had 2 teams just sitting outside of the top 10. Ravens are back in. I'll tell you that. Texans are in. I'll tell you that. Steelers not in still. Saints definitely not in. Question is, are the Buccaneers in here? Are the Buccaneers in the top 10? I don't know. Well, obviously I know. But you don't know. Tell you what, the Cowboys aren't. The win over the Giants did not impress me in the slightest. They got a Monday Night Football game against the Pittsburgh Steelers that could be dreadful because Micah Parsons is out. This is winding up to be a very interesting primetime weekend because the best game will probably be the game going on right now, the Buccaneers and the Falcons. I don't see the Saints and Chiefs really being a great game. The score could be close, potentially, I guess, but I don't see it being a great game. I really don't see the Steelers and Cowboys being a great game. There's going to be a lot of nostalgia. Steelers against Cowboys in Pittsburgh, so it's outdoors. There's going to be a lot of nostalgia with that game. And I am all for nostalgia, let me be very clear. I love nostalgia. But the top 10, I think we've got a breakaway. Teams that you can see clearly, they're going to beat each other up. But nobody else will. Nobody else will. So without further ado, let's get started. At number 10, they lost again. It was a close game. They brought Jordan Love back. Yes, the Green Bay Packers. The Green Bay Packers, to me, are still a top 10 team. I think they're going to, jump up a couple spots next week. But right now, I still think that bringing Jordan Love back for the game against Minnesota was the wrong move. Now, the offense looked much better in the second half. There was a lot of improvements in that game. The defense is scrappy. The defensive coordinator that came over, he was the head coach at Boston College. He has a plan. He knows what he's doing. He knows what he's trying to accomplish. And good for him, and they are currently a takeaway machine. Now, the thing with this is they got the Rams coming in. I think they're going to pull out the W. The Rams are going to slowly get healthier. But they don't have Cooper Kupp and they don't have Puka Nacua. There's just a reality here. The receiver area is thin, and the defense is still learning itself right now. So, as of right now, Green Bay Packers sitting there very comfortably, sitting at 10th. You want to know who's 11? Normally we do this. 11 is going to be the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and 12 is going to be the Philadelphia Eagles. I told you, I don't trust the Eagles. I don't trust the Eagles without A.J. Brown, and they're without A.J. and Devontae Smith. That game looked horrible offensively. Still at Dallas Goedert, still at Saquon Barkley. Looked like garbage. Absolute garbage. So in my view at this time, Philadelphia is on the outside. They're on a bye week this week. Early bye weeks normally don't bode well for teams, especially teams that need to be able to be physical. Yeah, A.J. Brown gets another week off. Devontae gets a week off. Saquon, Jalen. Here's the problem. I would always much rather have bye week in week 8, 9, 10. Give me a week off in the middle of a season. Think about this. When do you get your lunch break? Normally in the middle of your shift. That's where you would prefer the bye week to be. And that may be why the Jets declined after this week. They didn't want the bye week in week 6. They wanted it later. Which, fair enough, but you're coming back and now playing a Buffalo team. Now, they didn't know this, and I get that. Okay? But that is the risk that you run. That is the risk. So there's that. Number 10, the Green Bay Packers. Number 9, the Seattle Seahawks. I like this team. I like Mike Macdonald as a coach. I love Kenneth Walker. I always have. I loved him at Michigan State. I thought it was a really, really smart draft pick. I know he's got some injury stuff. I get that. Charbonnet, you could tell even the game against the Lions, using Charbonnet for more of the passing scenarios, letting Kenneth Walker be the running back even when they're down, because he can be that explosive. They got the Giants this week. The Giants are a decent team in Seattle, New York to Seattle. I got Seattle at home. I can't lie about it. There's no way to get around it. That's who I got. Straight up simple. That's who I got. I got Seattle this week. I'll tell you right now. Geno Smith is a professional quarterback. And I thought about this. How about from now until eternity past, okay? From now on, we give any quarterback, a pass that starts their career with the Jets, starts their career with the Bears, okay? We give any quarterback that starts at those 2 locations a pass. Why? Because look at what Darnold's doing with Kevin O'Connell. Look at what Geno Smith is doing with the Seattle Seahawks. Now, Zach Wilson was never going to beat out Bo Nix. But do I think that Zach Wilson could be competent in Sean Payton's offense? Absolutely. That's why he's there as the backup, because he can run like Nix can. Payton just has to coach him out of this stupid. Just got to coach the stupid out of players sometimes. So that can easily happen. Absolutely can easily happen. Absolutely. Hang on. Need a drink. Not sponsored by Body Armor, but dang, I tell you what, this new flavor of Body Armor, this tropical passion fruit, oh my gosh, is it good. Go get yourself some. I love the strawberry banana, and I absolutely love the tropical passion fruit, brand new flavor that wasn't available everywhere. It may have been a flavor for a while, but I hadn't seen it. Just recently got it, and oh my gosh, is it good. Like I said, not sponsored, but dang it. I love Body Armor. I absolutely love Body Armor. So go get yourself a strawberry banana or tropical passion fruit. Those are my 2 favorite. But we'll give them a pass. Here's the other thing. When you've got a team like that, you just need a guy that's competent. Offensive line is getting better. The defensive line is going to be outstanding. Okay? They're good. They got a decent secondary. Seattle could be the one at the top of that division, the NFC West, after this year. I still think San Francisco is slightly better. I think fully healthy, the Rams still beat them if both teams were fully healthy. But Stafford's going to retire. Kupp is going to retire. They're going to take a step back. So for the next 2 to 3 years, that division is the Seahawks to lose because the Cardinals can't seem to hire the right coach. I said this last year. I'm going to say it again. Pete Carroll needs to be hired in Arizona. Trade Kyler Murray. If this year keeps going the way it is, trade Kyler. There are going to be plenty of quarterback-hungry teams to take Kyler Murray. And with a Kevin O'Connell, Sean McVay, with any of those, Kyler can be competent. He can be. He's lazy, yes. He throws a beautiful football. He's small, yes. He's got some injuries, yeah. But look at what Miami is without Tua. You just got to be accurate. You just got to show up and be accurate and play the offense the way that the offense designer wants you to play it. So Seattle, they'll probably be higher next week, just like the Packers. But for now, they're at 9. All right, at number 8. Number 8. I know they dropped. And I know Lions fans are going to be mad at me, but I'm sorry. Your defense scares the crap out of me. The Seahawks ran wild on you on Monday Night Football in your own home stadium on the turf, absolutely blitzkrieged you on defense. You had no shot. You got bulldozed. Your offensive line is the best in the NFL. You have 2 running backs that could both start at a majority, at least 26 other teams immediately. You've got a big play receiver, Amon-Ra St. Brown. You've got an over-the-top speedster, Jameson Williams. You've got a quarterback that can be accurate as heck when he wants to be, Jared Goff. But you got a defense that could potentially force them to have to score 35 points a game no matter what. And I'm sorry, that's not going to be winning football when you get down to it. Green Bay will beat them again. Minnesota will beat them again. They have got to get this defense figured out. They have to. I don't like where this is at. I don't. I do not like where this is at all. Not in the slightest. So here's the reality. They're not as good as they need to be. They're solid, but they're not as good as they need to be. And as far as power rankings, I don't fear that defense at all. If you can stop Aiden Hutchinson, you can stop that defense. And that's really where it's at. So 8 is the Detroit Lions. All right, number 7. We'll start speeding it up here, or else I'm going to run way too long in this podcast. All right, so number 7. They're here, and my guess is they're here to stay, the Washington Commanders. Their defense isn't as bad as the Lions. Their youth is why I'm going to keep them at 7. It's their youth. There will be, there's going to be a couple games coming up. I don't think this one. Obviously, I don't think it's this week. Against Cleveland. I said, yesterday in the last, podcast, I said they need to avoid the L to Cleveland. They need to win at home, and they win at home, and they're 4-1. Can we just give them credit? Can we just give them some credit? They're 4-1. They got a tough schedule coming up. They'll have their gauntlet alley like every team does. But let's give credit where credit's due. Jayden Daniels playing lights out. The running game, solid. The defense is opportunistic. They stopped Cincinnati. They shut down Arizona. Like, let's just be real here. This team, this organization, there's a lot of excitement around this Washington team. I wish they had a better logo. I wish they had a better name. I really do. And I think Josh Harris needs to get on this immediately. Like, he needs to start trying to promote name changes now. Like, this is where you go, the excitement is back around. If you're not going to leave FedEx Field for the next 4 or 5 years, at least get the name changed. That way, when you move, that's already done. And all they're doing is changing the name of the state or city. But get the new name. Get the merch. People love this. Jayden Daniels is selling jerseys. Let's capitalize, and let's do it now. Number 7, the Washington Commanders. Number 6, San Francisco 49ers. What I saw was twofold on Sunday with them against the Patriots. Number 1, they missed Christian McCaffrey's receiving ability more than his running. Jordan Mason's a dang good runner. That's not what they miss. Deebo Samuel still working back from a calf injury. They were careful with him. Brandon Ayuk has been invisible all freaking year. Juwan Jennings, I believe, is Brock Purdy's favorite target, which oddly enough could lead to Ayuk being somebody that's traded. Now, they will not trade Ayuk to the Chiefs. But Juwan Jennings is a very good slot. They got Deebo. I know they think Ayuk, they wanted to keep Ayuk around, but here's the thing. I got to be honest with you. He's not playing. He's not playing well. He's messing up. Like, I think he may be at that point where he just needs to get out of San Fran. He just may need to get out of San Francisco. So the number 6 team in the power rankings, they still got the defense, still got the amazing linebackers, still got Kyle Shanahan, San Francisco 49ers. Number 5, we're going to put the Houston Texans here at number 5, 3-1. Big, gutsy division win over the Jacksonville Jaguars, which is what they needed to do. Now they got the game against the Buffalo Bills, win or lose, unless it is an absolute blowout, because they've already had their bad game for the year. That was against Minnesota. They've already had the bad game for the year. They can't have another one. Cannot have another one. Okay? So with that being said, honestly, Stroud, Mixon was hurt for the Minnesota game, but come on. Injuries are a part of it. You can't get blown out just because you're missing a running back. You got to play Buffalo this week. That game needs to be really good. And honestly, I'd rather watch the Buffalo and Texan game over the Colts and Jaguars game, which I'm going to be stuck watching. So, oh well. Yeah. Try again next time, I guess, is where we're at. But that is going to be hopefully a really good game. I don't know who I'm picking yet. It will be part of my Hawks pick 6. I can't tell you who I'm going to pick yet. No flipping clue. The numbers go for both. It's going to be a great matchup. It will be a great matchup. So right now at 5 is the Houston Texans. All right, 4 teams left. At 4, the team they're playing, the Buffalo Bills. Listen, everybody can have a bad game. Bad game was against Baltimore. It's a freight train called Lamar Jackson. They were on the road, Sunday Night Football. Baltimore plays freaking great in prime time. Okay? Lamar Jackson is Lamar Jackson is Lamar Jackson. They brought Derrick Henry in for exactly what they did. Remember last year? That's kind of how the Titans beat the Bills, was with Derrick Henry. Remember that? So Derrick Henry likes playing the Buffalo Bills. Sometimes it's just a bad matchup. It was. The Bills need to get their linebackers back and healthy. They will. Von Miller is suspended for 4 more games, which means he better be ready to play at the end of the season. He's going to be fresh. He's going to be ready. We're going to be able to rock and roll here. So Buffalo is the number 4 team. The number 3 team, Baltimore Ravens, the team that just beat them. They're 2-2. The record goes, why are they so high? Simple. The last 2 games, they got themselves right after that Raider game. That Raider game was the bad game of the year. The Kansas City game was a dang good game. And then what they've done is demolished the Cowboys and steamrolled the Bills. Exactly how you need to be a top team in the AFC. So as of right now, Baltimore Ravens, to me, are the 3rd best team in the NFL. Don't really like their corners. Their safety, Kyle Hamilton, is very good. The corners, they need a little bit of work. They don't have one of those premier corners right now. They could really use a Chris McAllister at this point. They really could. But we'll see what they do. Maybe they make a move at the deadline. Go get somebody that's on an expiring contract from somewhere else. Sorry, throat was getting dry. Maybe they do that. That's what I would do. I don't think any long-term trades or signings are needed here. Just bring somebody in that can help you for your push through the playoffs, and that'll work. The number 2 team in the NFL, Kansas City Chiefs. You're without Rashee Rice. I really think Baltimore is better than them, but I want to give credit for how they beat the Chargers. I really do. I want to give them credit for how they beat the Chargers. They deserve the credit. They won a gritty game. Now everybody knows Rice is out. Now everybody knows you've got Xavier Worthy, who is not a volume guy. He's a speed guy. He's not a volume guy yet. So you've got Xavier Worthy and Travis Kelce. Isaiah Pacheco is out. Kareem Hunt is going to get a ton of work. Okay? That's what we're looking at right now. It's really what we're looking at right now. So with that being said, this week against New Orleans is a big game because New Orleans has an offense that can go over the top if Derek Carr has time. They've got an offense that can put up some numbers. So this week will be a big test. They should win over the Saints, but with no receivers, here we go again. Mahomes has had some bad interceptions. They haven't had their bad game yet. You know, they had that one against the Raiders at the end of the year. They haven't had their bad game yet, but it was a gutty performance against the Chargers, and I will reward them as such. So they're the number 2. The number 1 team, I'm in. I did not think that this defense. Listen, they got Dallas Turner, who I thought Atlanta was going to draft, and Dallas Turner is a stud. Okay. They had a really good draft, defensively, offensively. Kevin O'Connell has gotten the reckless out of Sam Darnold. You got Jefferson, Addison, Aaron Jones is a legitimate running back. They had Dalvin Cook. Dalvin Cook was still a legitimate running back, I thought, but he's not even starting for the Cowboys right now. Like, poor Dalvin Cook's not even being given a shot. He's got to be able to run better than Zeke. Like, come on. But nonetheless. So, number one team, the Minnesota Vikings, defensive coordinator that's currently top in the game. Top in the game. They got the Jets this week. I think they blow them out. I think they'll control that game. It may be a game where Kevin O'Connell's like, we're overseas. Guys may be sluggish. He may try to control the game more with the run game this week, but I still think the Vikings absolutely smash them. Fully do. But the Minnesota Vikings are sitting there at number one. And that is Hawks' top 10 for week number 5. Falcons aren't in it. I don't really trust them offensively. Kirk Cousins has thrown too many interceptions. Buccaneers have a defensive problem. They can score, but they can't defend, and I don't really trust their offense because it's been up and down. You got a lot of teams that are kind of wavering on the brink. The next podcast, let's see, the next podcast would be what? We're going to do the Picks podcast. And then Saturday, I believe, if everything works out the way I want it to, Saturday we're going to do a first quarter in review podcast. So what have we learned through the first 4 weeks is kind of what we're going to do. And we'll go over a couple of the storylines, a couple of the stats, and what has happened thus far through 4 weeks in the 2024 NFL season. That's going to do it for me, guys. It is a beautiful, beautiful Thursday late morning. Hopefully your Thursday is going well thus far. Tomorrow is Friday, so the end of the week is just around the corner. I appreciate you guys for stopping, hanging out. Make sure to subscribe, like the podcast, ring the bell so that you get notified every time a new podcast goes live. Thank you so much for hanging out. I appreciate each and every one of you. Have a fantastic rest of your day, evening, night, whatever it may be. For Sports Talk with Hawk, I'm Hawk, and I am out.